Welcome back, everyone, to the final three sessions of the IPoE for 2021. We're now moving to the final three of our 5-panel events, and we're delighted to have Peter Banks here today to have our panel 3 for us. Peter is the Managing Director of Rudding Park in Harrogate, which is a 90-bedroom privately owned luxury hotel and spa. He held key positions within the company for 25 years, including Director, General Manager and Resident Manager. And Peter began his hospitality career as a management trainee at the Savoy Hotel. Prior to joining Rudding Park, he held management positions at London Hilton on Park Lane and St Andrews Old Course Hotel. He knows that because it's him, and I'm sure he'll tell you lots more about what he's done. So thank you, Peter, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all very much for coming this afternoon. A little bit about myself and about Rudding. When it says 90-bedroom hotel, it doesn't really sum up what we're doing. We'll turn over £25 million this year. We are a multifaceted resort operation. We employ 300 full-time staff, 400 full-time equivalents. We've got a wage bill of about £8 million, and we have a holiday park, big spa that turns over £5 million, 90 bedrooms, conference and banqueting that does £3.5 million, a couple of restaurants, one of which does £3 million, the other does £1.5 million, a couple of golf courses. So we're a multifaceted business that relies on people. Without people, I don't have anything. When I started at the Savoy, my experience, I started at the Savoy in 1986, and I was told to turn up in my oldest jeans, my oldest trainers, and a dodgy jumper. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, and so I left East Sussex as a spotty 18-year-old, caught the 4:45 train from Haywards Heath, and got to Charing Cross at 6:30 in the morning. Took all my worldly possessions, put them in the left luggage, and went to the Savoy. The management training scheme at the Savoy then, they took one management trainee every month, and your first job was in the meat department, which supplied the Savoy, Claridge's, Berkeley, Connaught, Simpsons in the Strand, and Wilson's. And we bought all our meat from Smithfield Market and took it on the back of a wagon. It got butchered up by these butchers who looked like prize fighters, you know, the old cut-off t-shirts and just muscles out here somewhere. And there was me about 10 stone wringing wet. And the whole idea seemed to me that you were there for 5 weeks, and there were a bunch of East End Barrow boys who ran the meat department at the time. It doesn't exist anymore, by the way, so we're quite safe. And it seemed to me that the whole idea was that they saw if they could make the management trainee leave before his 5 weeks were up. The manager of the meat department actually said, Stan, to the 6'5", massive meat porter, Stan, who was this huge fella, he could pick up a barrel of beef, which is 140 pounds of cow, and he could just straight lift it like this. He said, Stan, take the trainee down the fridges and beat him up with you. And that was my introduction to hospitality. Fortunately, life has changed somewhat since then. I'm going to talk about the current crisis, and I use the word crisis advisedly, in the hospitality industry in the UK. And I think there are 4 key issues that have created the perfect storm that we have currently. And we can break them into roughly retention, recruitment, COVID and Brexit, and managing millennials. Where are we currently? There are currently 188,000 hospitality vacancies in the UK currently. I have 35 vacancies currently that I can't fill. There are 1 million less semi-skilled and manual workers in the UK than there were 3 years ago. And this has led to the most incredible scrap for labour. If any of you fancy it, you could become an Amazon driver in Neasden as long as you sign on before the 13th of November. You can get a £1,000 signing on fee. Signing on fee is not just stuck for Amazon. There are also stories of £1,000, £2,000 signing on fees for hospitality workers, especially chefs, for example. So, I'm afraid that I'm going to be somewhat challenging to all of us in the hospitality industry at the sharp end, where I am, because I think that maybe we need to accept some culpability for where we're at. So, is it recruitment? Is it retention? Is it COVID? Is it Brexit? Is it millennials? Or is it a perfect storm of all of them? How much blame should we, as hospitality leaders, take? Generally, and I fall very firmly into this category, we're 40 plus, male, pale, and stale. Yep, that's about me. Can we really look ourselves in the mirror and say that we shouldn't accept some of the blame for where we are now? Oh, by the way, everybody, those of you who are looking, you'll notice that I do have a paperclip on my glasses. It's not a paperclip, it's a hinge. Okay, I broke my glasses the other day, and it's a very useful life hack. So, there we go. Can you really look yourself in the mirror every morning and say, it's not my fault? Or are we actually judging this generation through our own rose-tinted, broken glasses? Please bear with me. There will be some uncomfortable truths in this next half an hour or so. Please don't leave the room. If you do want to leave the room or switch off in Australia, please do. But being a leader isn't about, I don't think, being a leader isn't about taking the easy route. It's actually about accepting the difficult responsibilities, the difficult decisions, and actually accepting that some of it's our fault. So retention. Let's just think, this time 3 years ago, it was all rosy. It was fantastic. We didn't have a problem with recruitment and hospitality. We've now got 188,000 less people. I'm looking for 35. We've got 1 million less semi-skilled workers. The obvious answer is Brexit, isn't it? Brexit, the curse of the world, or curse of the UK. I used to have 60% EU workers and 40% Brits 3 years ago. I now have 70% Brits, 30% workers, 30% EU. It is a fundamental shift in my employment. But it's not just hospitality, is it, the struggle? There are 100,000 less lorry drivers. There's stories going around that you can earn £55,000 to drive an HGV. Wow. Why would some of our chefs want to work all of the hours they do in hot, unpleasant conditions, the sort of money we're offering, when actually they could go and train as HGV drivers and get paid 55 grand? We're not just fighting the hotel down the road. We are now fighting with deliveries, we're now fighting with the NHS, we're fighting with the care workers, we're fighting with councils. This is a nationwide scrap for labour. So how did we ever get here? It's a scrap. And I promise you, there will be companies going bust in our industry because they do not have the staff. They have borrowed money, substantial amounts of cash from the bank. For example, when we opened the spa, 2017, we opened our spa, brand new spa, and we borrowed £10 million. We were £14 million in the hole to the bank. And our loan was predicated on sweating that asset, on operating 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, pushing it, making the profit, so we could pay the bank back the £1.8 million they wanted a year. And for those of you who are young enough to have not taken out a mortgage yet, you might have done, but believe me, when you want to borrow money from the bank, they're all over you like a bad rash. When you can't pay it back, they're also all over you like a bad rash, but for a different reason. There will be companies that go bust. The Gavroche, for God's sake, is closed at lunchtime because they do not have the staff. The Gavroche, one of the most famous restaurants in this country, is closed at lunchtime because they can't have the staff. It's crazy. It's a nightmare scenario. So whose fault is it? Is it all Brexit? Believe me, if you go into my kitchen right now, or you speak to a brickie or an electrician, they love Brexit because all of a sudden they are earning 35% more than they were 3 years ago. They're all going, happy days. My son lives in North London. He's also in hospitality. I tried to get him not to do it, but he went in. He's the assistant manager of London Hotel. And he wanted to get some electrical work done. And he was quoted £170 an hour for an electrician. 250 grand a year for being an electrician. That's what Brexit has done. It has forced prices well up. I'm old enough to remember managing in 1999. There was no staff. It was like that. 99 for those of you who were managing at that time. There were no staff. I was going to Scarborough at the end of the season and literally saying, please come and work with us. I've got accommodation, you know, come and work with us, please. I was sweeping up staff from seasonal places to come and work with me. Then Blair and Brown, God bless them, allowed unfettered immigration, and lo and behold, I had unlimited cheap labour. And this is where we need to accept the fault. This is our fault. It was a miracle, absolutely miracle, absolute miracle. For 15 years, I had cheap, willing labour to do all the jobs that the Brits did not want to do. When I started at Rudding Park, every single one of my kitchen porters was English. Now, not one of them is British. Not one of them. I've never paid minimum wage, by the way. I've always paid nearly £1 an hour more. My Rudding minimum wage at the moment is £9.70 an hour, and I go to £10.50 an hour on Monday, on the 1st of November. £10.50 an hour for washing up, cleaning, working behind the bar, whatever it is. Let's face it, hospitality was so attractive that even private equity invested in it. God, must have been attractive for private equity to go in. And as an industry, we have to accept that this made us a little complacent. It actually made us a lot complacent. Every time we had a lever, for those of you who are old enough, there used to be a TV program called Comic Strip, and it was Aid Evanson and Dawn French and that lot. And there was Rick Mail, and there was they did something called Five Go Mad in Dorset. And again, for those of you, and you would be famous Five, they were Julian, Dick, George, Anne, and Timmy the dog, right? And they used to go around the country sort of solving problems and all of the rest of it. In this takeoff of it, Timmy the dog kept on getting poisoned by the baddies. The baddies would throw a steak out of the car, throw the steak out of the car. Timmy the dog would eat it, and the four heroes, Julian, Dick, George, would say, "Oh look, Timmy's dead. Never mind, we'll get another one." Was the answer. If we're honest, in hospitality, That's exactly what we've done for the last 15 years. If we're really honest, and answer me honestly, when a kitchen porter or a housekeeper or a waiter left, did you just shrug your shoulders and go, I will get another one? I used to have a chap called Domingos, and Domingos was Portuguese, and he hung out in King's Cross, Domingos did, and Domingos had a front room, and he had a couple of sofas, and he had good line into all the Portuguese people who were coming over from Portugal, and they kind of plump themselves down in Domingos's front room, and whenever I needed a kitchen porter or a housekeeper, I pick the phone up and go, Domingos, have you got anybody? And he'd go, yep, I've got a couple sitting here right now. One of them will clean and the other will be a kitchen porter. Jolly good. So I would pay their train fare from King's Cross to Leeds. I'd collect them in Leeds and I'd pay Domingos £50 a person. Right? So I'd give them 100 quid and I'd pay their train fare. We'd pick them up from Leeds. If they were any good, happy days, they'd stay. If they weren't any good, I'd put them back on the train and they'd go and sit on Domingos' sofa again until the next person left. We had an industry average turnover per year of 60%. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting as an industry. But we just went, oh, never mind, 60%, mate. I'll just bring Domingos and get another one. We used to use lots of excuses, didn't we? Oh, it's just hospitality, isn't it? That's just the way it is. Oh yeah, it just happens, doesn't it? Well, why did they leave? 60%. Why was I losing? And I wasn't. I only ever had turnover of about 45%. What are you telling me? I used to just go, oh, never mind. I've lost 130 people this year. I accepted it. Why did they leave? Was it hours? Was it pay? Was it the perks they got? Was it the conditions? Fundamentally, was it love? Did we love our teams enough? If these are the questions that are inherent laziness, and I use those words advisedly, that our inherent laziness as leaders in hospitality created, what are the answers? If we accept that we no longer have a workforce that's willing to work in poor conditions, unlimited hours, you know, I'm old enough, and some of you may be, I don't know, the old AFDs, and those of you who've worked in hospitality will know what AFD stood for. It's when you're in the shit and actually somebody else doesn't come in, or actually you get an extra booking and you have to work all day. I promise you, at the sharp end, it is a known phrase. AFD. Oh, I've pulled an AFD today, that's it. Never mind. And we just go, yeah, go on. You know, when I started at the Savoy, it was all, you're all proud of it. Oh, me and the trainee, yeah, we knocked out a banquet for 300 people and we did 22 hours, and aren't we hard? Fantastic. Well done. Those people aren't there anymore. The world has changed. If we accept that we've no longer got a workforce that is willing to be used like that, the answers are fairly obvious to me. First of all, better hours, of which I'll talk more of when we talk about furloughitis and millennials. Until 3 years ago, all of my team were all contractors to do 45 hours. Did they work 45 hours? No. Got to get the job done. Because actually what I do is I have to instill that incredible feeling of service to my team. You don't matter. The guests are all that matters. If that means you need to stay another 2 hours, another 4 hours, that's it. Because that was the way I was brought up. Do my current team, do our current generation want that? No. So I used to do 45 hours for all of my guys. I then dropped it to 42 and a half, and I'm now going to drop it to 40 come Monday. And I'm strictly enforcing that with the heads of department. I'm actually thinking of no longer saying, here's your budget with your number of staff. So I don't know, let's say the kitchen. I've got 10 chefs. I'm no longer saying you've got 10 chefs. I'm now going to say to the head chef from Monday, you've got 10 chefs at 40 hours a week. Therefore, you have 400 hours. How you use those 400 hours is up to you, chef. You crack on, because so many kitchens now are just doing 4 days. But that's quite a simplistic answer, because the chefs aren't actually looking at them. They're not looking at where the graft is. For those of you who've worked in kitchens, you'll know that as the checks come through, there are various checks and various dishes. You go, hallelujah, smoked salmon, fantastic, or terrine or whatever, marvellous. It's all plated up off the jack stand, do a bit of green, there's your slice of lemon, off you go, thank you very much. And then there are other things, oh, pan-fried scallops, oh, nightmare. I've got to stand here and watch them, and if I leave them there for 10 seconds too long, they're gone. So the chef now needs to get smart in what he does in his, or she does, in their menu design. No longer is food cost the key. Food cost for restaurants used to be, what's your food cost? Oh, my GP is this. Oh, yeah, I've done really well. Actually, what I'm going to start doing now is having a total wage, a total cost per dish. So I'm going to have food cost, and we're going to time how long it takes to create that dish in wage cost. And only because no longer, that was the old food cost story, was when food was the most important part of that dish, the most important cost to that dish, because the team were willing to work however long you wanted. Now the most important and costly part is labour. We're ignoring that, so we have to put it together. So I'm going to have a total cost per dish, which includes food and labour. And that will show me, when I'm doing my menu engineering, actually, I ought to get rid of pan-fried scallops. Pan-fried scallops should go. So we've binned pan-fried scallops, and I now do scallops thermidor, which are all in a nice scallop in the shell, and they're there, and we've just got the sauce ready, bang, 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 chuck it in the oven, 3 minutes later, out it comes, bang, waiter, take it, thank you, off you go. Just like that. Still scallops, but we're doing it differently. So, better hours. We have to make sure that our teams are doing a maximum of 40 hours, and it won't be long before we go to 37 and a half, my friends. Let me tell you, that's just the way it is. And as leaders, we need to accept that. We need to accept that that is coming. No longer can we expect and rely on our teams to do unlimited hours just because the dish says so. Better pay. We're now, as I said, we're competing with the NHS, delivery drivers, that's £1,000. Anybody fancy that £1,000 going to work in Neasden? Very nice. Yeah, I'll say yes, thank you very much. Yeah, excellent. Agricultural workers, £20 an hour for picking broccoli. Last week, I looked on the picking broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and £30 an hour at the weekend for picking broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Those are what people are advertising right now. Right now, that's what we can get. Why do my guys want to sweat their nuts off when they could get £20 or £30 an hour? Okay. This is now our competition. It's not the dog and duck down the road. Our competition is actually picking Brussels sprouts. My wages have increased by 20% over the past 2 years, from 6.5 million quid to 8 million quid. And my hours have decreased by 5 hours per week. I now also pay £1 an hour extra after 7 o'clock, and I pay £2 an hour extra at weekends. If I'd said that 3 years ago, my industry colleagues would have laughed me out of town or put me on top of the bonfire and burnt me on Guy Fawkes night. You could earn £13.50 an hour for washing up at Rudding Park next Saturday night. But that's what we need to do. We have to pay people more. We have to work less hours and pay them more money. Better conditions and perks. Our accommodation. For those of you, again, who've lived in staff accommodation when you were a waiter or a barman or a kitchen porter or whatever when you were starting off, you'd be jammed, and I'm guilty. I'm guilty of this. You'd be jammed into a room. There'll be 3 or 4 of you sleeping in this room because, oh, it doesn't matter. They're all the Portuguese people, all the Polish people, or they're just, you know, poor people. Just cram them in. Thank you very much. No. Why would anybody want to come and live like that? We used to have staff canteen. When I started at Rudding, we were only turning over 3 million quid. So the staff canteen used to had 100 people max in it. I've now got 300 staff. I've now got so many staff that people actually have to take their lunch in a polystyrene thingamabob, you know, one of those polystyrene jobs, or actually we use reusable plastic now, but anyway, the theory is the same. And they're going to sit in their car. Really? Really? Why should I expect them to work for me when I'm doing that? So this winter, we're spending £750,000, million quid on improving the staff facilities. The gents' bogs, sorry ladies, the gents' bogs, there used to be 2 urinals in the staff changing rooms because that's what we'd always had, and we were able to get away with it. I've just spent another £150,000–200,000 redoing all the staff facilities, and we'll be pleased to hear, gents, that there are now 4 very nice urinals. But it's just, you know, I can laugh about it and I can make light of it, but it's not right. It's not right. We do Westfield Health, where everybody who now comes to work with us, they can have dental or eyesight, or you can have mental health issues. There are 6 1-hour consultations, and if your mental health issue is so bad, when they sort of triage you on the telephone, then you can have face-to-face. So I pay for all of that. Make a staff feel loved and wanted, and the perks. So I have a quarterly staff conference where I get as many of the staff who want to come, and generally we always get 150 or so people, and I stand and prance around and make them feel loved and wanted, and communicate what's going on to them. Tell them what the plans are. Here are the sunlit uplands. This is where we're going, guys, and we can't get there without you, but do you want to be part of this? I have a skip lunch, which my managers absolutely hate, which is where I actually sit down and have lunch with a member of the team from each department. And I say, this is a safe space. What do you enjoy, guys? What would make it better for you? And I take a shoe-in for an hour and a half when these people tell me, this is what's happening. I had a department who, until I did those skip lunches, that this poor member of staff said, yeah, I've got something to say. I said, yeah, what's that, Sarah? And she says, my rota. I don't get my rota until Friday. I said, yeah, until when? She said, for the Monday afterwards. I said, sorry? So you don't know what you're working in 3 days' time? Really? really? This same poor woman, she put a holiday request in April, and this was in June or July. I skipped lunch with her, and she said my holiday request wasn't authorised until July. And I said, oh, did you go on holiday? And she said, no. By the time I got my authorisation, all the holidays have been booked, flights have been booked, so I just had to stay at home. Is there any wonder that we have 60% staff turnover when that's how we treat people? So I skipped lunches, which obviously my heads department hate because I then go and give them a right good shoe for doing it. We've got more management training, including interviewing training. I'm now doing behavioural interviewing training for all of my managers because I don't actually believe we're getting the right people in. They're not asking the right questions. They're talking 80% of the time, and the staff member who's looking to come to work with us is talking 20% of the time. We do bi-monthly staff surveys to check how happy they are, and we ask exactly the same questions. There are 12 questions that we ask, and each of the heads of department is then responsible for all of their results every single bi-monthly. And you know, it's out of 5, and obviously I've got there's traffic light system, green, amber, and red. Sorry, no worries. I then measure as a key statistic the number of staff leaving every week in my team meeting with my senior team. We measure how many people have left, and the senior team have to say, why has Fred left? Here is Fred's exit interview. Every single person who leaves is interviewed and asked, why are you leaving? And it's the head of department's job to say why Fred's going. I now incentivise my heads of department on retention. Profit actually is what I expect them to do. I now incentivise them on team retention. Family staff parties. We all used to have staff parties where we used to get monstrously drunk and all the rest of it. Actually, are those people the people who are going to stick with me? So we've changed it. We have a staff family party where actually we have a full day and I get all of their families along, and we have face painters and bungee runners, you know, when you dress up as a sumo and run along and see how far you can get on the bungee, and there's oh, I don't know, shoot the tin cans, and we get the fire brigade along, and they bring the fire engine, and the kids can go and sit on the fire engine, and all of that stuff. We need to be creative in how we look after our team. Wages, hours, conditions, and perks. Ultimately, that boils down to love. We need to love our staff. Without that, we're dead in the water. Next thing, that's retention. Actually, it's a bit like a bath, isn't it? You know, and I realised this when we came back from whichever lockdown it was. I can't remember whichever. The last 2 years has been a bit of a blur. And my hotel manager said, "We need more staff. We need more staff." I said, "No. This is like a bath. It's like a bath, and there's taps here, and there's a plug here. Actually, the answer isn't just turn the taps on full. The answer might just be put the plug in, and then we won't need to have the taps on as full." So recruitment. In the old days, it was the caterer. You used to have 10-page bits at the back. No longer exists. For those of you who get the caterer and hotel keeper, the recruitment page no longer exists at the back of the caterer. That's where I actually got my job. I got it at the back of the caterer. Indeed is the way forwards. Now it's you know, they've broken the mould. They're one of those disruptors, but dangerously for us, they've just started something called Indeed Plus, which, for those of you who don't know about it, is where any member of staff puts their name down onto this huge list and we, as employers, then go and bid for those members of staff for a day. Yes, you bid for your staff. Fellow hotelier in Harrogate doesn't have any cleaners, and he's been paying £15 an hour for cleaners on Indeed Plus. What happens if every single one of our team goes on to Indeed Plus and they all just sit there waiting for the wage to get to a certain level? Yeah, we can shake our head. Right, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And then how do we get any cost certainty? That's because we've got our room rate and our cost of our steak is fixed. What happens if all of our staff go onto Indeed Plus? Then we have absolutely no cost certainty, but our revenue certainty is there. It's a zoo, absolute zoo. So we now try to get people on, get through if the caterer no longer works, and Indeed is there. And the good thing about Indeed, actually, if you pay a bob or two more, of course, you can actually look and see who in your area is, any members of staff are actually on Indeed, and that includes your team. So I actually go, I get the HR team, they go through Indeed once a week and they see which ones of my members of staff are on Indeed. And then they go to that member of staff and say, you're on Indeed. Are you unhappy? What can we do for you? Why are you looking elsewhere? What have I done wrong? So we can use these new methods. Social media, I can't stand it. I think that there's an awful lot of our current woes are because of this. But Pandora's box has been opened. We can't wish it away. It's there. Rather embarrassingly, the marketing team, we've had a bit of a splurge on recruitment, and the marketing team decided that I was too stiff and that we're all looking posh and all the rest of it. So they got me to pretend I was Hugh Grant. Quite a stretch, girls, okay? Quite a stretch, okay? And I had to do that bit from Love Actually, where he does all that dreadful dad dancing. You've seen it, thank you very much. Thank you. It's a shocker. It's an absolute shocker. We wanted to prove that we weren't stiff, we weren't up our arse, and that we were a fun place to be. Believe me, I managed it. Yes. However, there are 150,000 views of me prancing around pretending to be Hugh Grant. 150,000. 150,000. My God. And everyone was going, oh, it looks like a great place to work, great laugh, etc., etc. So use it. Speak through the new channels, not through ours. When they do apply, how do we get back to them? Do we send them a boring old letter? Oh God, a snail mail through it comes. It's I don't know. Or do we do a snazzy WhatsApp back to them? We send them welcome gifts to their home 2 weeks before, saying, we're really looking forward to seeing you. Here's a little Rudding Park key ring. Looking forward to seeing you on the first day when you're all going to get together on this Monday, and you're going to be that Monday's cohort of people. So they get an esprit de corps of people who they've joined with. Do we just throw them in the deep end like I was thrown in the deep end? For too long, we've just used people as cannon fodder. We've just used them. We just chucked them in. Thank you very much. Goodbye. There's your waiter's uniform. See you later. No, we now have 1 day induction. They've got work buddies, etc., etc., etc. We have to look after our people. We have to remember how nervous we felt when we started our first job. Empathy is the key skill, I believe, for our industry. We need to empathise with our team as well as empathising with our guests. When we have people coming to staff accommodation. I remember when I started at the Savoy, and there I stayed in a place called Norland Place that the Savoy obviously rented, and it was in Holland Park. And as I said, I was just a spotty 18-year-old, and I went back to my room. Nobody showed me around. Nobody showed me where the washing facilities were. There was no fridge, or I didn't ever know where there was a fridge. So actually, to have my cornflakes in the morning, because there was nowhere to eat, I put my milk outside on the window ledge so that it kept cold. And then I had my bowl and my cornflakes in my drawer, and every morning I would take the cornflakes out, bowl out, and then I'd wash it up in the loo and put it all back and put my milk back outside again. We need to have, and we do now, we now have, by the way, I love my time at Savoy. Okay? I absolutely loved it, and it set me on my way to be where I am. But as the beginning of the Go-Between says, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. Doesn't make it wrong, just that's what used to happen. So we actually have a little welcome pack for them with some washing up, some laundry tablets, and there's a little map that says this is where the staff laundry is. Because they won't have any laundry tabs, will they? They don't walk a mile and a half in a Sanos. No. So just try to imagine and say, and this person who's living in staff room 9 or whatever it is, Fred, is your buddy who's going to show you around. I still remember to this day when I was lying there in Norland Place, and I thought, my God, I'm living in a city of 8.5 million people, and not one of them could care if I lived or died. I was so incredibly lonely. And just then, there was a little knock at the door, and this, I said, yeah, come in. And this head pokes its head round the door, and you know, with a bit of a spiky haircut, stocky, wearing a rugby shirt. You know, wait, Paul Bradley, fellow management trainee. Lovely to see you. Should we go for a pint? I cannot tell you how much I love that. That chap is now godfather to my eldest son, and he's one of my longest friends. But it meant so much to me. So we're doing the same. So that is recruitment and how we look after people. Furloughitis. We all know that the pandemic has been an unmitigated nightmare. But they've got 80% salary for getting on for a year for doing nout, for sitting at home, doing a garden, I don't know, regrouting the bathroom, watching Trisha or those ladies at lunchtime that are on the telly. I can't remember the name of it anyway, those people. But they've had a year of 80% for doing nothing. But some of them didn't actually do nothing. Some of them took 80% from me, and because of the screwy way the rules work, I don't really understand it, but they were able to get another job at the same time. So almost like a paid sabbatical. They could actually try something else at the same time as having the safety net of us. So actually, they went away and thought, actually, I quite fancy being an Amazon delivery driver. I can put my hours down. I can do 10 or 12 hours a day. I could just do 3 or 4 days a week, and then I could be 3 days off. Because actually, let's face it, in hospitality, we're all used to graft. We don't mind 10 or 12 hour days. That's their choice. So they've been able to do something else, or sitting there watching Trisha or whatever, they're actually going to think about their life. And I've had people coming back saying, you know, I've had a bit of a think, and I think I fancy trying doing something else. I literally have people saying, yeah, I don't fancy it much. I quite enjoy being off on Saturday nights, actually. I'll try something different. What furlough has done, and the furlough and Brexit perfect storm has done, is it's meant that all of a sudden staff realise that they're in charge, not us. The boot is firmly on the other foot. We have to accept that. We're no longer the boss. They're the boss. And we need to look after them because that's the truth. That's until the next recession comes, of course. And then we can actually get back to being in charge. But right now, till that time comes, that is the new normal. We need to accept it and move on. It's no good railing about it. It's no good doing a king can you and sitting there saying, go back, tide, go back. The tide is coming in, and we need to accept it. So then, managing millennials. For those of you who are millennials here, welcome. Please come and work with me. I'm really a very nice person. Managing millennials. I've had a tranche of Brits, sub 25-year-olds, often stress, bullying, and the answer isn't for us to say, this isn't the attitude that got us here. Show a bit of Dunkirk spirit. Come on. They don't give a monkeys. They don't care. I need to remember that my parents were war babies. And they brought me up with that, you know, make do amend and watch the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves and all of that. And I remember in the 70s watching the news, and for those of you who are old enough, towards the end of the 70s, when there was huge unemployment, there used to be a thing on the Friday, and there was a map of Britain, and there'd be little people sort of dotted all over, and each person would represent 1,000 jobs lost, and there'd be 5,000 in Middlesbrough, 10,000 in Barnsley or wherever it was, and it would add down, and then they do a massive total at the bottom. And my generation was haunted by unemployment, haunted by the danger and the fear of unemployment. I remember when I got my job at the Savoy, my grandfather and father said to me, that's great, you will never ever be out of a job. There'll always be somebody who wants a pint pulled or a plate put on a table. You'll never be out of a job. The current people haven't been brought up like that. They don't understand that. We need to really comprehend that's, as I said, the past is a foreign country. They don't remember any of that nonsense. They don't remember what that was like. We need to accept that they've been brought up in a country that has not thrown people on the scrap heap, that looks after people. And all this is good, by the way. And we just need to accept that that is not their mindset. Show a bit of backbone, show a bit of Dunkirk spirit. That's rubbish. That's what it used to be like. It isn't like that anymore. They're not scared of unemployment anymore. They don't remember that fear. They would actually rather be unemployed than do a job they disliked. Is it just the job? Is it just the job? I'm a bit of a stiff in a suit here, right? Here I am, yeah, fantastic, robes and suit. I would no sooner go around the hotel without my jacket on than go around the hotel without my trousers on. Doesn't matter what temperature it is, this is my armour. You know, shoot the old calves, yeah, collar stiffeners, fantastic. So I used to have a real problem with beards, right? Because in the old days, oh, clean shaven, isn't it? There you go, clean shaven, no beards, thank you very much. And so my team all said, stop being such a dinosaur. Really? You know, well, how many beards have we got here? Plenty. Fantastic. All from young people. Well done. Welcome. You know, they said to me, you've got to stop this whole beard story. I know, fine. Grumble. They actually bought me a T-shirt that said, "With big beard comes big responsibility." And then a little book on beards, on different types of beards. So I accepted beards. My latest hobby horse is tattoos. Oh God! Oh. So receptionist is hot. So they took the jacket off, and okay, fine, it's hot. I'll just swelter it. You take the jacket off, and she's got a sleeve. It's a lovely girl, beautiful. But she's like, "Don't sleeve." Oh, no. Get your jacket off. Jacket back on. Jacket back on. So we just employed a chap, assistant bar manager. Amazing mixologist, right? Fantastic. Just loves it. He's Tom Cruise. He's tatted up to the eyebrows. You know, his hands are all tatted. 20% of under 25s in this country have tattoos. 20%. Just because I'm so bloody stiff, I've just knocked 20% of my potential staff out. Maybe I just need to wake up.
Get a tattoo.
Get a tattoo. Join the gang. I don't think I'm brave enough. That's not the problem. I don't think I can take the pain, frankly. So really, you know, they don't want to work 45 hours. They want to have tattoos. They want to have beards. They want a work-life balance. I need to accept that, or we need to accept that. So, in conclusion, and then we'll do some questions, and I'll be brutally honest. We're in trouble as an industry. So, what are the answers? There are 4 things we can do, and they're logical to me. First of all, and we haven't discussed this yet, but automate the mundane. Who really enjoys checking in a hotel? You walk up to the reception desk and you've got your bags, and the receptionist says to you, "Hello, are you checking in?" "No, I'm here to buy some fish." "Have you got some nice sea bass?" And then you have to fill the stupid form in, and you have to put in your car reg number, and you know, all this nonsense. "Can I have your credit card? Oh, £1, thank you very much. We haven't charged it. We'll give you £1 back," whatever it is. We've now got ANPR cameras on the drive. And on my pre-arrival check-in, and this job isn't finished yet, but this is how far I've got at the moment, you put in your car registration number. As you drive down the drive, your car registration number is picked up by the ANPR camera. There's a piece of software for £80 a month. £80 a month, my friends. Really, this is good value. You can take nothing else from this. This is fantastic value. This then pings through to the smartwatch that the porter wears, and it says, "Here comes Mr. Smith." So actually, the porter then, because we're a high quality product, the porter goes outside and says, "Hello, Mr. Smith. How do you know who I was? My God, that's magic." No, it isn't magic. It's just technology that's out there. You know, we all get pinged for driving without an MOT or whatever. That's how easy it is. Why aren't we doing it in the hospitality industry? And the thing, so I then ruin it by the porter going, "Hello, Mr. Smith, come on in. I'll introduce you to Flossie, who's working." "Hello, you checking in?" "Ah!" Surely we can put a man on the moon. Everybody's got one of these beasts, right? Surely there's a way that you can put your telephone number on the pre-arrival check-in, and when you walk through some, you know, the ring around the hotel or whatever, it goes, "Ah, it's Mr. Smith. Ping, thank you very much," checks him in, and your key is then on your telephone. I've then got a lovely load of sort of fluffers in the front, all of my charming people. "Ah, Mr. Smith," because they know you've come in. "Mr. Smith, fantastic. You've, you know, can I just have a quick look at your phone? Excellent. You're room 353. Come along this way. I'll show you how everything works. Come this way." And then, "Oh, have you a nice journey, and how was it?" And etc., etc. Now, this is how it works. Just put your phone to there, Mr. Smith. Here we go, and here's the bedroom. Wouldn't that be nicer? Wouldn't that be a better sense of arrival? Automate the mundane. There are loads of mundane things that happen in hotels every day. We need to automate the mundane. Second thing, efficiency. Efficiency, and I know efficiency is a little bit of a dirty word, but and I'm not picking on reception on this because that's how I was a receptionist and reception manager and assistant front office manager. So rooms is my bag. But are the receptionists busy every single hour of every single day that they're doing their 8 hours at £10.50 or £12.50 or £14.50 or £15, whatever it is? Are they working all of the time? No. So actually, we need to look almost like the old timer motion man. What is going on? We build cost into our industry. So when we're designing, and I fight with our interior designer. So we built this beautiful spa, and it's got a 3-level, beautiful 3-level sort of connecting stairwell. It's a thing of beauty, right? Massive light with the sort of whole glass, and the light shines through. Beautiful, beautiful. Unfortunately, there's a light fitting that hangs down in the middle of this stairwell. And she designs it, and I said to her, how are you going to change the bulbs? She says, oh, I haven't thought of that. Oh, great. 2 of the bulbs went last week. Maintenance had to come in at 6 o'clock. 5 maintenance chaps and build a 3-story scaffold to change bloody bulbs. It took them 5 hours. That's 30 hours of maintenance time because we didn't think. Don't design in cost. When you're building stuff, ask yourself all of the time, glass in bedrooms, really? It's a nightmare. Dust, you can just see it on glass. Don't have a glass table because it shows every piece of dust and every greasy finger mark. You could do something equally nice, but just don't design in cost. So efficiency. Smoke breaks. Smoke breaks. I said to my guys at the skip lunch the other day when I said, right, we're going to go 40 hours, £10.50 an hour. Fantastic. Good. Good. I said, the downside, chaps, is that I will be looking for you to be more efficient. I will be looking for you to be more efficient. Who here smokes? And okay. No more smoke breaks. You go for 5 smoke breaks a day, that costs me 1.5 hours. Actually, 5 minutes to get there, 5 minutes to have a fag, 5 minutes back. I'm not going to pay you for smoking. That's the deal. I will love you. I will pay you really well. I will not expect you to work as many hours, but when you do work, that's what I mean. Work. Efficiency. We need to look at every single process because we haven't got the staff, we've got to pay them more. We need to pay them more. We need to accept that actually the days of, again, I'm old enough to remember when going out for a meal was a treat. And you only do it, 2 minutes, very good. You'd only do it once a month or once every 6 months on a special occasion. Now, everyone goes out once a week. They can do that because we've had cheap labour that can produce cheap product. We will have to charge more to our guests will need to pay more, and we can then pay our staff more. And finally, we have to love our teams. No more take the training down the fridges and beat him up. No more AFDs. No more 2 urinals for 200 blokes. We need to love our teams. Automate the mundane. Efficiency. Pay more. Fundamentally love our teams. If we put all of these together, we might just survive and beat our competition. And you never know your luck, we might actually make a profit. Thank you.
on behalf of everyone here today, thank you so much, Peter, for that really engaging presentation. We've got a little bit of buffer. We've got a couple of questions on the chat, so I'll just look at them quickly if that's okay. The first one is just a comment from Paul saying cannon fodder is the right term. We need to learn from the military. World War I carnage in the trenches, which is highly skilled, technological, professional, and limited tours with a defined career path. And Paul's also said, but we can also think of career strategies as well, not just induction and initial deployment.
Agreed
for that. We can take a couple of minutes, I think, to open it up for discussion to the room. We have a bit of a buffer, so
discussion, questions, beards.
How about your business model in actually giving these talks? Will that finally give you more profit than running the hotel?
Highly possibly.
That's a compliment.
Thank you.
Do we admit that you were on when you came back off holiday
yesterday? Sorry for this this business. I mistakenly thought that I was going to be on a panel with other people where I could pick an argument and expose my one-eyed views. I only realised when I spoke to Sarah, or when Sarah emailed me, that actually the panel meant that I was going to give a presentation. So I wrote this on my sunbed in Lanzarote last week, and only came back yesterday. So apologies for not having any slides. I was slightly technologically challenged.
I think it worked.
That was perfect.
Yes.
So, based on what you've been saying, is this the time when, like you say, we're going to have a smaller industry? So we're going to lose players because of the...
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, the government have said now £9.50. I think whichever government you vote for, they both want to get minimum wage to somewhere close to 15 quid within 5 years. Labour want to legislate that, they've already said, some of them are going on about minimum wage of 15 quid. Labour want to legislate to get to £15. The Conservatives are slightly more duplicitous about it. They want the market to push minimum wage to £15. Yes, if we do not automate the mundane, and if we don't make people more efficient, our teams more efficient, and if we're not smart and clever about the whole job, the industry will become smaller. There will be casualties on the high street, yes.
Prices rising and quality rising as well? Are all those
yeah, there'll be, yes, prices will certainly rise, and I sincerely hope quality will rise. As we keep good staff, quality will improve rather than having some cannon fodder who don't know what the table numbers are.
Because I absolutely agree with what you're saying, and it's almost that the challenges in the past weren't deep enough to make a fundamental change. We just went back
Didn't
to
force
the
us.
same. Yeah.
Didn't force us to do it. You listen to the mood music coming out of number 10, and it's all about high productivity, high wage. And of course they want high wages because they'll make more tax. They take more money from more tax from taxing people on income tax. They don't give a monkeys. It is our responsibility. They are casting us loose to just sort ourselves out. And if we don't, there's only one answer.
Really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, they're sending me messages that the next.
You're like, should I talk again? Yeah. The next session will start at 2:15 anyway on the schedule. So, yeah, it's on the schedule. It says 2:15.
Okay, so I'm not sure
One.
sending messages.
So
maybe that one question would be good just before we go, from Paul.
Yep.
Weidler. So what are you looking for in our graduates? Just
What am I looking for in graduates?
Yeah.
Very good. I am looking for somebody who is empathetic. I'm looking for somebody who is able to motivate. I'm looking for somebody who's smart, who can spot opportunities. I'm looking for somebody who can think differently. I'm looking for somebody who can have fun. Yeah, that's all of those, all of the above. It's a people business. I'm looking for somebody who loves people. I'm looking for somebody who, no matter, people will always disappoint you, whether it's guests or staff, they will always disappoint you. I'm looking for somebody who will never, ever be cowed and beaten by the fact that humankind will disappoint you. People with bounce back ability, people who will still love and believe in people, even though they'll let you down.
Just a very brief conclusion. Listening carefully, and I share quite a few of the things. And you say people have to be empathetic, which means we're talking about categories, qualities. We do not give them here in our profession. Are we educating the wrong people? Shouldn't we target managers so that they do better understand what they are doing?
100%, 100%. We need to have managers who develop people to be them. We used to have a sign on our kitchen wall that said, we do not cook what we want our guests to eat. We cook what our guests want to eat. Yeah, we need to be developing those people. That's our responsibility, to develop the next level of people with those soft skills that are difficult.
Can I ask a very quick one? Thank you so much for your presentation. I really enjoyed that. It was really refreshing to hear your thoughts. I know so many of the other kind of post-ediers see themselves as victims and somebody needs to kind of come to their rescue, whereas you're kind of pitching it as part of the problem. And yesterday we were kind of talking about how we can innovate in the way that we value employees, and you get some really good concrete examples today, and I can really commend you for that. But the question is, obviously all of those fantastic ideas that you're doing and suggesting others do cost money.
Yep.
Will somehow affect your bottom line, right?
Yep.
So I think they're great, don't take me wrong. My question is, so how did you convince your shareholders and your investors to kind of get that change in mindset, because it's going to affect their profitability and bottom line in the end, right?
The only armour of a general manager, and this is an essential truth, the only armour of a general manager is profit.
Yeah.
If I'm making profit, I won't get the sack. If I'm not making profit, I'll get bulleted. We're just about as expendable as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who you don't win a football match, you get sacked. We don't make profit, we get sacked. So yes, I've put all these things in place, but that means that I need to drive efficiency. And I drive efficiency through my heads of department actually accepting that it is their responsibility to do it. So each of them is now targeted on their own efficiency. No longer will I do their thinking for them. No longer will I say, Chef, what are you doing here? Come on, why have you got Pan-Fried scallops on? Why do you ever think? It is now his responsibility to actually do that. So actually, I put the pressure down to my next level.
More personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility for their efficiency.
Very good.
Yeah, that's what's necessary. Yeah. And I'm only part way through it, and there will be some of my team who can't do it.
Sure.
There will be some of my team who are so long in the tooth that they can't do it.
Or implement it incorrectly as well, because there's the potential for it to go wrong if
Absolutely.
they feel under increased pressure to then
Yep.
to reach the performance target.
Yeah, and that's where we need new managers to come in and take up the burden. There's often, and I might be a case in point, there's often people who get you from £10 million to £20 million are not necessarily the team who will get you from £20 million to £50 million. You look at a football analogy, how many times did Alec Ferguson change that Manchester United team? He actually bulleted Beckham when Beckham was at the top of his game, because he knew that Beckham wasn't going to get him to the next place. And that might be, I might be too old and long in the tooth now. I hope not, but I might be. And if that case, then I need to march up into the sunset and think differently. People need to think differently as well of your pursuits.
I think we'll have to. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to close it there.
It's all right, it's my session next, so you can carry on.
I want to thank you for this, but are you doing this by yourself, independently by yourself, or a colleague of
prospective colleagues from other hotels, other businesses, whom we refer to?
What this?
You're thinking about renewal?
I speak to a lot of my colleagues all of the time. I listen to them. Another skill that we have to have for your students is ability to listen and actually see the truth. And somebody said lots of hoteliers are complaining. I listen to them complaining and I think, my child, actually, is that the truth? So yes, I hear what they're saying. There are another couple of guys who agree with me, but there are a lot of people who don't agree with me, and a lot of people who want unfettered immigration again. I personally think we just need to accept that the government aren't going to do it, and we need to be smart enough to survive. So yeah, I talk to my colleagues, but not all of them agree with me.
I think it's good that we didn't end on Peter riding off into the sunset. I don't think that would have been an appropriate way to finish. So, Peter, once again, thank you so much for your presentation and as a token of appreciation from the University of Derby of Nice. It's been great having you here.
Very kind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed. Thank you.